no secret. It's plain to see. I love you, and you love me. It's no secret. You know it's true. You love me. I love you. The only time we seem to meet is in the middle of the night. Only then can I feel your heartbeat. Till something's not right. Together I see you and me, always and all time. But not everyone would agree. To them it's a crime. It's no secret. It's plain to see. Yes, I love you. And you love me. And it's no secret.
The show will begin shortly. Deanna, can you invite me to video?
Yes, ma'am.
You love me.
I did the wrong thing. I did me instead
Yes,
of you.
I love you.
Wait a second. Yeah, thank you.
He's exhausting.
He's exhausting. I am good. I'm actually frazzle dazzled, to tell you the truth.
Why?
Well, all the hard work that I put into gathering all my clips and putting it all together, and at the same time working with with my client, and at the other same time out the other ear listening to the testimony today, that was like, I'm killing myself. I can't transfer from that GarageBand where my clips are over to my laptop so that I can play it over here on this side of my studio with the microphone.
Oh, fun. That's awesome.
So I can't do it.
Well, I have YouTube up, and there's some short clips that one site that likes to summarize things into little shorter clips, even though they have the full day. I have that up, and the funniest one, I was going to play one that was funny first. Maybe we need to do a little intro.
We do. We do. So
people know what the heck is going on?
Can I set it up for everybody real quick,
Absolutely.
Deanna?
Go for it, girl.
All right. So does it deserve a little... Hold on.
It deserves whatever you're going to give it.
So Deanna and I the other morning, I think it was Saturday morning or Sunday morning, I'm not sure, but we were on text together off of the app. And we're talking about something else, and all of a sudden Deanna says to me, "Oh, the Johnny Depp, da da da," and I went, "Oh!" I freaked out, and I went, "Me too, me too." I'm like watching it. I went to sleep last night listening to it, and in the middle of us saying we should do a show and we should do an AfterBuzz or we should talk about it on Fireside, right at that moment, Frederick Penny, who I hope he joins us tonight, who has Radio Law Talk, he was actually doing a live radio show. And in between here on Fireside and in Fred's show, you get to go like during commercial break and you get to go up on stage and talk about everything. And then he goes back into a show where the attorneys are talking about the case and all of that. So that spawned us doing this pop-up show every night to kind of talk about the case and what happened and what transpired. But what we discovered was that because Deanna and I both are survivors of domestic violence. Me, in two separate occasions, one was financial violence abuse. The other one was very much physical abuse. And Deanna, she has her own story. But I think that what that did was it brought a different point of view and an interesting point of view to what is happening. And that's why we decided to do this, because Deanna can talk about her background, but you are more of the professional. This is what you do for a living. You coach people after the trauma. And I am just like the victim that just likes to, talk
To
about it.
laugh. There you go. You like to laugh at yourself. It's great. I love
Yeah.
it.
So over to you, Deanna. And then, so the gist is really just, come on up, say your piece or whatever, but we're going to just talk about our different perspectives on what's happening.
Well, and also in keeping with the vein of laughter, again, this is something that we can make light of, even though it's a heavy topic. And I can't go back to all the previous 7 days, because this is day 8, and maybe we'll do a recap on Friday. But the thing that I thought was the funniest today, I'm going to play it. Is that okay with you?
Yeah. First of all, let's let anybody that doesn't know or whatever. It's not about Johnny Depp or Amber Heard being domestic violence perpetrators. Well, no, let me take that back. But the lawsuit is about an article, an op-ed that she wrote 2 years after they were even divorced. And she insinuated that it was all about domestic violence and how she was a survivor, as you all know, and all of this stuff. And he's suing her for defamation, because that reignited and opened up a new whoop-ass can of worms for his career, which had kind of, already. So this is his attempt on finding the truth.
Right. And all the testimony, this is something that I was kind of surprised at, and I'm not an attorney by any means, but I was surprised at all the testimony and all the stuff that's being drugged through, like all the personal stuff. But the part that the domestic violence plays into this is, if her claim is not true, then you lied and you defamed his character. And that's the whole thing, trying to find that out. And I did some additional reading outside and some of my research, but the thing that this is just, let's start off with this funny clip, because this was the only thing that today that, Johnny had a few clips today, but this was, to me, like legit funny. Trying to set this up.
That's why I wanted to put it all together in like these really quick clips, right? So all right, I'll do it tomorrow.
That's all right. That's right. But this clip, just to set it up, Amber's attorneys are cross-examining the witness that is the house manager for Johnny Depp.
Oh, yes. I loved him today. He's so professional.
I like him. The thing that was beautiful about him was he's not paid by either one of them. He doesn't work for Johnny. He doesn't work for Amber. He worked for Disney. Disney paid his salary.
That was the case with the sound technician, Keenan Wyatt and stuff. Yeah.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
So, but he lends this credibility because, he has all of, he's just very matter of fact.
He worked at Buckingham Palace, for crying out loud.
Right. And he doesn't seem to be extraordinarily invested in either one of these two people. Right. Anyway, so this was funny when this attorney then asks his question. Let me see if I can get this to play.
Yes, briefly.
We can't hear it.
Okay, give it a second. I don't think it's...
And isn't it true that in the entire time you were there, you were not informed as to what caused damage to Mr. Depp's finger on March 8th?
Objection, hearsay.
That's what he wasn't told.
Okay, so there's a team of attorneys, right? So there's like 4 of them on each side. The attorney that's at the podium asked the question, and then his co-counsel objected to his own attorney's question.
Is that what was happening?
Yes, and the judge is like, you asked the question. You can't object to your own question. You can withdraw your question, but you can't object. Like Johnny's attorneys would have had to object, but they objected against their own stuff. Anyway, I was just like, What's
You know,
happening right here?
they have, there's to just get to get everybody a little bit up to speed. It's funny because hold on, I don't know, I think my microphone might be a little too loud. I've been watching it now for probably 3, 4, whatever days, and I have a habit of, as I'm doing something else, I can listen to stuff, you know, and I can really absorb it. But when I was listening to the opening statement of the chick attorney, the lady attorney for Amber Heard.
Oh,
And
right.
I think she really just liked to say the word, the fuck, because she got like so passionate. I'm going to find the clip, but she got so passionate about reading the text messages that were really kind of,
Over and over.
yeah. And she just got off on it. It was like, I thought she was going to have an orgasm. I swear she was just going on and on and on and on.
Yeah, it
And I'm
was.
going to
It
find
was.
it.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. But the other thing that happened today in court that I found kind of funny, but yet inappropriate, and not inappropriate as in there was a lot of language and graphic stuff that they showed today. You know, as far as like just um, not video recordings, and this and it, you know, and the stuff written on the mirrors and all of that. But then somehow when they come back to Johnny, because like this is day 4 that he's been on the stand, right? And they come back to him to redirect after the cross examination, and he says something that caused the entire gallery to laugh.
Yeah.
Like she had to say order in the court, and she was going to have to remove people.
Yeah, because it was the most ridiculous thing in the world that was said. It was like, you know, they keep pounding on him, right? They keep pounding on everybody. They really, this is why I'm so irritated about my stupid GarageBand. I have to learn how to switch it from iCloud and over because I had all these clips ready. But they, you know, there was this one where she's interviewing Keenan Wyatt, who is the sound guy that works, and a great guy, and he has worked with Johnny on and the key is I can take the perspective of things because I live in LA. I've worked in entertainment a lot. I knew Johnny Depp back in the day when he was, and I had that clip too where he talks about being in telemarketing, because he was actually all him and the Jump Street crowd was like they were my customer service people because they were actors, and I let them go on auditions and stuff like this, and then eventually they all ended up on Jump Street. But it's funny that I hear him talk about that. But I have the perspective of you know, that lifestyle, you know, and it is a crazy lifestyle, and there is a lot of drugs involved, and you know, even, you know, she was like either drinking wine every day, right? At least 2 bottles a day, says the butler. Not him. He wasn't drinking those.
Manager, get it right.
The house manager, right? She was taking mushrooms. She was taking, they never said it was Adderall, but believe me, it was Adderall when Johnny was talking about the prescriptions that she took. They try to make him look like he's this monster. Not really. He even explains today the definition of the word monster, how he uses it in some texts. I mean, it's really, if you really listen to everything that is being said, if you can bear to listen to the whole thing, because he's so slow when he talks and all of that.
Today.
But
A little bit.
every once in a while he comes out with a good one, you know, like, or just the expression on his face is like, are you really saying that or asking me that same freaking question again and again and again? You know, for the Wyatt guy, I have a clip where he goes, I don't know. 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 I don't know.
So
Yeah.
that's not the guy who's friends with him. That's the artist that was painting that lived in the penthouse, is it?
No, that's not. No, that was like his right hand kind of dude for.
Okay.
that bald-headed guy.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I loved that was the same thing that happened with him though, with the makeup. I mean, okay, I got this question for you, Wendy, because I analyzed this. I probably overanalyzed this. But okay, so Amber Heard says, that she was hit, right? And that she was changing the locks. Johnny had to leave because, there was violence and he punched her in the face. And he hit her many times over and over again, really hard. That's the clip. That's the clip that they keep playing over and over and over again. Which, first of all, I if you've experienced this, that's not really how you're going to describe it. But anyway, so I'm like, okay, well, bygone. Maybe she's getting a script, a PR people, all of this kind of stuff. So then he proceeds to give testimony that, she didn't have makeup on. Like, he's been over there for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They've spent time. He saw them 3-4 times a week, especially when they were in town. He saw them 3-4 times a week. And he kept saying, no, there was no marks on her. There was no scratches, no bruises, no anything. And over again, days after days, he knew the dates. He knew when he saw her twice.
I know them by heart now also.
Right. But for like an entire week, right? And so then
it was a period of time, yes, in question where she saw other people and she hadn't seen Johnny, but she even saw Elon Musk and James Franco within that period of time. That's where they're going to come and testify.
Right. But the point, I think, was to all of what I'm saying here is over and over, he said all these times that he saw her the week after this supposedly happened, right? Now, over that week, the bruising, whatever it was, it would start to show. There would be swelling, there would be redness, there would be bruising. He sees her every day.
And then it would turn different colors as it got older. We all know that, right? It turns green and yeah.
And then over the course of that week or 5 or 6 days and nothing. And then she files the restraining order and she has this bruise on her cheek.
But she filed the restraining order without him having to be present in court.
Right. Well, because he was out of town. I mean, he was filming, so he was already gone. So no, he wasn't filming. He was on tour with his band. So anyway, so then her attorney comes on and says, well, do you know anything about makeup? How do you know she wasn't wearing makeup? He's like, well, I don't know. I've been around a lot and I've seen her without makeup. I've seen her in full makeup and I've seen her just natural. And I mean, when you wake up in the morning, you go have breakfast with somebody. She didn't look like she had any makeup on, and she's like, well, do you know what this cream is? Do you know what this foundation is? Do you know what this powder is? Do you know what this tint is? Do you know what this? And she asked this
they asked the
incident.
Most asinine questions, Deanna. They're asinine.
Every incident. I don't even know what some of that stuff was. Every incident that he talked about, she drilled him on every single one of those, every single time. And he's like, no, I don't know what that is.
Is this what it's really like to go through this shit in a court? I mean, if this is really what it's like.
Only if you're suing people for $50 million or $100 million.
Well, you're suing. He's actually suing for his life, really. He's suing because everything that has happened but a long time ago, I wanted to sue for defamation. Many, many, many years ago, something happened. And I was a public figure at the time, and I wanted to sue for defamation of something that happened. And my attorney, 3 attorneys, Rudder or something and something, I don't know who they were, but they said no, because when in a defamation case, they open up a can of worms of your entire life. So unless you are so confident that nothing is ever going to come to the surface that will make you lose, then you do a defamation case, but you got to be ready for hell. And I look at that like they've gone through this a few times. And this is different. This is about defamation of, through that article that she wrote.
Honestly, this is about him being able to prove his side of the story. I don't think he expects to win. And honestly, I don't think either one of them can win. I think
he wants to clear his name and he wants to be able to work again.
Right. I think this is going to be a draw, but this is going to expose her character so that they understand that it was not what she says it was. That's all. And I think that's really what's going to come out of it after 6 weeks of watching this. I don't know, Wendy, I might go a little crazy, but
I got so anxious today watching it. I was just getting anxious. It's like, I'm glad his testimony is over because he's so slow. I'm waiting for her testimony. That's what I want to hear.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
do, because so this was the other thing. I watched some of the after coverage because why not? And she got booed coming out of the courthouse today.
so here, you want me to play this? This was on Twitter. I'll just play the first part of it. So this
Okay.
comes from NBC News. And yeah, she got booed. But if you see the people that she got booed, it's
Oh,
like
it's his
20
it's his
people from hell. So
it's his
seriously.
justice for Johnny people, sure.
Yeah. Okay, here.
20 hours on the stand, Johnny Depp's testimony has come to a close. Today, he answered questions from both his ex-wife Amber Heard's lawyers and his own. Towards the end of his 4-day testimony, Depp's lawyers played an intense audio recording of one of the couple's fights.
Because the last time that it got crazy between us, I really did think I was going to lose my life, and I thought you would do it on accident.
Amber, I lost a finger, man. Come on. I had a mineral a jar of mineral spirits thrown at my nose.
You can please tell people that it was a fair fight and see what the jury and judge thinks. Tell the world, Johnny. Tell them, Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp, man, I'm a victim too of domestic violence, and
yes.
It's a fair fight. And see how many people believe or side with you.
That was the last clip from the testimony today. You know what I hear, Deanna, and I'm going to ask you this question. I was, it was a good 2 years, and I was in my 20s, young 20s, and it's the insults. So I don't believe Amber Heard for these reasons. My take on it. I think that she is a narcissistic, crazy, whacked out bitch who, they have a habit of making it everybody. It's because of everybody else that they take the actions and they do what they do. So, if you really get into it, you'll see that, she was going out with Elon Musk. Elon Musk basically separated from Grimes during that time. That was right after whenever it was during that time, because they want to interview James Franco and Elon Musk because they want to see if they saw the bruises on her face, because they both saw her during that period of time when she supposedly had the bruises.
Well, I never got to my question. So my question in that was, all right. So then the attorney reasons, well, obviously even if it doesn't look like, you don't think she knows how to put on makeup, but make herself look natural. And that if she was did you know she was going to a party that day, a friend's birthday party? Did you know that she was going to this or that? And why would she go out in public and not cover that up? And I said, well, she didn't cover it up for the press. She didn't cover it up when she went and got the restraining order. She made sure it was like nice and prominent. How do we know that wasn't the makeup?
Right. Nobody knows anything. I think that if you watch it, it's funny because so you don't know. No, I don't know. So do you know? No, I don't know. Are you sure you don't know? I don't know. So are you saying that you don't know? This is what it's like.
Yeah. The whole thing.
The whole thing.
And here's another thing. And so I've experienced this with people that I've worked with, right? And my attorney in my divorce, so my relationship was an 18-year struggle. And my attorney was amazing, but my attorney also experienced this. And she worked pro bono for a while at the domestic violence shelter that helped me get my protective order, right? And she wasn't pro bono at the time, unfortunately, but that was the attorney we went with because we trusted her. And she was just incredible in some of other people's stuff that we've recommended her to, where a narcissistic person will turn on a recorder and then scream.
That's right.
And act like you're doing something when you're not. And so one of the incidents of somebody that I work with, that's what happened. They were locked out of their house, with their possessions and their entire paycheck in cash in a nightstand drawer. And so they went through the open window because it was open at the time, And so she ran to the back door screaming, like, stop, he's punching me, help. He's not even near her. He wasn't even near her. And so, but here's the sad part. He wound up having to take a rap for this. Like, he couldn't fight this. Like, she stuck to her guns, even though they said there were no marks, there were nothing. He wound up, because he went in without permission, still getting in trouble because he wasn't on the lease, even though they were living together. So it's just like the laws are a mess in this type of stuff. And when she wants to get up and say that she's the poster child for domestic violence and that she reaped the backlash of
Right.
what it's like to
Right.
be that in a misogynistic society, I'm sorry. No, you did not.
Yeah.
No, you did
No,
not.
she created
What you-
it.
And the backlash you get is because nobody believes you, not because you're in a misogynistic society. Because I'm going to tell you right now, with the movements that have been going on, you're not going to get that kind of backlash. If they really saw that and they really believed that, you would have the support.
Well, Deanna, there's a tape that I listened to today. Was it today? Where she was, yeah, it was the one with her and Johnny, where she was begging him, look, there's just that's what that one was all about, the one we just listened to, where she's really begging him, like, you have to do reputation management for me. This is, so when it's all about them, that it's like, but you can say you were a victim of domestic violence. It was a fair fight. It was this and that. So she's justifying her
I have
actions.
no credibility anymore. My reputation is destroyed. I have no
Right.
credibility. She kept saying that over and over again.
And she doesn't care at all what's happened to his. That's narcissism 101.
Right. And the thing is, you know what? You entered in a relationship with someone who was 10 miles ahead of you in their journey. He's established. He's done.
She also lured, what's his name, Momoa, is it Jason Momoa, the
Yeah.
beautiful guy from Aquaman,
Yeah.
away from his wife. You guys look at the stuff,
She's
that she's done.
opportunistic. She's
No,
opportunistic. Because she's after where she can, whatever it is, and this again is narcissistic, right? Whatever it is going to benefit her. She's going to enter into that connection.
Narcissists work under the assumption that they're not going to get caught, right? So they live. I think they live in that little space between getting caught, getting the consequences for their actions, and they love living in that little space. So they're always creating this like havoc. This in Italian, it's actually called casino, right? It's che casino, and it's all this havoc just to make a problem because either. Because they just thrive. They love it. Here's another
where they
point
thrive.
I want to ask you about. People who are abused. I would never, ever walk into the fight. I would want to be walking away from the fight. I don't want to aggravate or encourage this monster from kicking and hitting me and strangling me and punching me. I don't follow him into a room. I am super happy if that guy just goes away. So she was always like antagonizing him, right? Following him into a room. He's trying to leave. He's trying to chill. He's trying to get away. He doesn't want the conflict. Over and over and over again, you hear this. And she is, knocking on the door.
Right. And if you really think about that, most of the time in an abusive relationship, the true victim, and let's face it, it's weird because there is an area or a room for self-defense. You can't let somebody just pound on you and do nothing, right? But for the most part, what you do is you walk on eggshells to make sure you don't trigger anything.
Right.
So you walk lightly so you don't hit the landmine, because that's kind of becomes your method. And when you do hit the landmine, because they're always going to pick one, then that's when you try to escape to remove
in my
yourself.
case, I couldn't escape, right? I had nowhere to go, and he knew it. And for me, it was a simple thing like, oh boy, I better not overwater the plants. We had all these, he counted all the little potted plants that we had in the house. This was in Austin, Texas, in Round Rock. And he counted all of those plants. And then every morning he would get up, he put his finger in every single one of them to make sure that they were perfectly watered. And if they weren't perfectly watered, guess who got it? Right? Yeah. That's the kind of stuff that is like, I can see Johnny Depp being who he is, and then falling in love with her for sure, right? She's a beautiful woman. They fall in love. There's something there. Okay, cool. But then the one thing that really got me was that Keenan Wyatt, the sound guy that worked with Johnny on all of his movies, that was actually paid by the production companies and not by Johnny. That was an interesting thing where they tried to make a case out of the fact that he actually got they paid for your flight and they paid for your hotel. Comparable. What do you mean comparable? And he was like, they didn't pay for anything, basically, just to paraphrase him. It was like, it's all union. I get paid a union job. I get hired to the production company. I don't even know what I was paid. What was I talking about before I went off track there? Because it was important. Sorry, Deanna. Are you listening?
Yes, I am listening, but now I'm thinking about Keenan Wyatt.
Dang it. I forget what I was saying. Maybe, hey, you guys, anybody in the audience, Ray, Bad Bunny, Natalie, I see you down there, you little lurker, you, Dale, come on up, have some conversation with us. Let's load up the stage. Right, Deanna?
Yeah, for sure. Y'all come on up. One of the things that I was thinking, Wendi, can I make you a production somebody or other?
Oh, I guess so. I've never done that before.
Me either, but let's do it just so that you can actually do something too. Make him a producer. There you go.
You're now a producer. Oh, I'm so proud.
Now you have control.
Okay. Hey, anyway, Bad Bunny, do you want to come up?
So we were talking a little bit about the fact. Now, this is not the whole story because we haven't heard her story yet. But so far, what I have heard, is, I know what we're talking about. We're talking about you watering your plants and all the things that you have to follow,
right?
With when you're living in a situation like that, and here's the thing, she, whatever happens and how she throws this bottle of vodka. And I mean, this is the story. So allegedly, right? She throws this bottle of vodka. It lands on his hand. It shatters into a million pieces, and it literally slices off the tip of his middle
right
finger.
Hand, his right hand finger, not his left, because he told the story today about the importance of his left hand and playing the guitar.
Right. So, but slices off the tip of his middle finger, and goes to the hospital. And then in the hospital, he lies and doesn't say that, what had happened. He says he had an accident and he cut his finger. And he's, as a matter of fact, however he said he did it, when the second doctor came around, which they made him strike from the record because they said it was hearsay. But when the second doctor came around, he was like, you definitely didn't cut your finger like that. It doesn't work. This is definitely like it had to do with velocity and the sharpness of the object that would allow it to get cut off. You can't just squeeze something. You would cut yourself. You might need stitches, but you wouldn't cut it off. His fingertip was detached from his. Yeah,
they had to find it. They had to find it. And they found it, and then they wrapped it in a tissue, and the blood got all dried. The housekeeper guy said, oh, yeah, I saw the finger. It was wrapped in a tissue, and all this dried up blood all around it.
So my point is...
Did they sew it back on?
Yes, they did. So, I mean, have you ever wound up in the hospital?
Me?
Yeah.
From being battered? No, because if I went to the hospital, I would probably be killed when I got home from the hospital.
Right. There's consequences. So, I went to the hospital. I had a broken arm, and I thought one time that I had a broken nose, and I mean, I didn't have a choice. I had to go to the hospital, and you don't tell the hospital what happened. There, you know
No,
what I mean? You don't tell the hospital. You don't go in the hospital, and they know. I guarantee you, they did not believe my story. But
that's when Johnny today said, "Oh yeah, you bumped into something." Like everybody says, when they're battered, they basically always say, I bumped into the dog, or I bumped into the
I tripped
doorknob,
over
or
this or that or the
I,
other, fell down,
right?
they're not stupid. They know what the injury is conducive with and how that particular thing you're saying that it wouldn't have happened that way. And they're
Yeah.
not stupid. They've studied the body and the anatomy. They know better. Um, and the point was though that, when he's saying everything he says is in alignment with someone
Yes.
who has
Yes.
been a victim, and everything she says is not.
Yes. It's in
Yeah.
alignment with someone that's in denial that they are an asshole. I'm serious. I just want to take that girl and use her like a little, punching bag. I hate to say it, but you know what I mean, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Because
And
she's so full of shit.
now here's the flip side of it. Now I'm going to give some statistics real quick. So
All right, hold on. I'm gonna run. I have to get my drink. I'm sorry.
Okay.
And it's not booze.
Okay. She's running. She's literally running to get her drink. Natalie, we're coming to you in just 1 second. Give us just 1 second.
Okay.
Okay. So statistically speaking, globally, 28% of women and 21%, or 28 and 23, I can't remember exactly, but it's not very far apart, of men or women wind up in a domestic violence situation. But when you look at the statistics on who perpetrates the violence, 70% of women perpetrate violence. In that scenario, 70% of the women are the ones who instigate the violence, not the men. But the problem is that they generally do not do any significant harm. Injury is more often caused in a violence that is instigated by a male. Okay, well, that makes sense because we're in a, we're built differently, Also here, like in the United States, verbal abuse or mental emotional abuse is not criminal. It's not a criminal act unless it falls under something like harassment or stalking, where a person's life feels like they're in danger. You can't go out and threaten people, put people's lives in danger. But even that threat has to be accompanied with something substantial. Oh, he threatened you. Did he have a knife? Did he have a gun?
I've gotten into arguments here in our peaceful little town of El Segundo, California, with my crazy Italian husband, and he always brings it up, like this one argument we had 100 years ago. It was like 20 years ago, and the police came, and I don't really remember it being that brutal, because it wasn't brutal. It was just an argument. It was just like, and he's very loud because he's
I was
Italian.
going to say you guys were probably loud, right?
And maybe it was just the neighbors were oversensitive. But why I'm bringing it up is that the police, he proceeded to tell his entire life story to this police officer. And I remember him telling them so much information that wasn't necessary, and like about me, like, well, you should see when she does this, or you should see when she does that, or you should see. And I'm thinking, you're just sounding more and more guilty. The more you blame me and tell the officer about your marriage woes, right? You sound like the asshole, actually, because I wasn't saying, oh, officer, I was just saying, okay, I apologize. We got in an argument. I don't really think we need to take this any further than that. I'll be more quiet. But you tell that guy to be quiet too, right? And it wasn't like that. Marino was just really like defending his honor almost,
right.
in a weird way. And I don't know if that's a male trait or what that is. Like, I just want the conflict to go away. I don't want to be in it.
Yeah.
I just want it to go away. And here's the other thing, and then I want Natalie to chime in. The other thing is what I hear is when somebody abuses you or someone is of that nature, that they really take advantage of you and they really put you into this jailhouse, basically. They also emotionally are abusing you because they are calling you names or they're saying things to you over and over. What are you going to do? You're going to go be a secretary? Are you going to go suck somebody's, you know what? You're not good for anything. You couldn't even be a maid at a hotel if you wanted to. Nobody would hire you for any that type of, and you hear it over and over and over again. And this was so indicative to me of what she was like, Amber Heard was like towards him, right? Hey, old man. Hey, loser, hey, drunk. There was one thing that was said today or was brought up that she, I don't know, her attorneys or something, there's some evidence being raised that he would constantly go to bed so wasted that he would vomit in his sleep night over night after night after night. And I think Johnny Depp went, I think I would have called like a doctor if that was happening.
Exactly. He said, who says that they love you and then witnesses you vomit in your sleep,
where you should be aspirating on your own vomit and dying from it, actually.
and they video it and take pictures of it instead of saying, oh my God, are you okay? Do you need me to get you something? Do I need to call somebody? No,
and then it doesn't wake you up, right? Yeah. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Natalie, chime in here.
One other thing she said too in one of the tapes on one of the first days was about one of the tapes they played about her calling him, grow up, Johnny. I mean, stop acting like a baby, Johnny. And I was like, why? She sounds like a 10-year-old or a junior high kid, And then we were listening to Fred Penny and they came on, and one of the lawyers that were in the talk show when we were listening to the talk show side's like, boy, doesn't she sound like a high school kid? And I was just like, yep, exactly.
That's what quite a few people said, that she was just like so immature. Natalie, chime in here. What's your thoughts?
Well, when it comes to her immaturity, I will have to say that she did sound a lot like me and or my sister whenever it got too much and you thought mom was going to get involved, and it was like, hey, yo, everything's fine. You're fine. Shake it off.
Don't tell mom, please.
Don't tell mom. We don't need to involve mom. I honestly, but you called me a lurker, Wendi, so now I had to come up. But I wish I had the luxury. No, because I'm in bedtime mode.
That's okay.
Okay.
I wish I had the luxury to lurk. Every time someone sees me in an audience, they're like, Natalie will talk.
I know. That's how I kind of feel. I go, should I, like right before you go into a show, you kind of go, okay, I'll go.
But
you got to contemplate it.
Honestly, I haven't been following any of the actual like play-by-play footage or anything like the live streams or anything like that, because I don't need one more bummer. Like, it's just a real big bummer every day. So I've just been watching recaps like this. But I will tell you that the first time I watched a summary of his testimony, it was the first time I had heard Johnny Depp's voice in about 6 years, because I had stopped watching. I'm not a big movie rewatcher anyways, but he had been blacklisted. So you hadn't seen him in anything new.
Right.
And my body had this whole reaction like, oh my gosh, you were in love with Johnny Depp when you were 16 and they told you that you couldn't be anymore. And now you kind of get to again. And I feel like my heart just goes out for him, because I remember being 16 years old and having a really great understanding that Johnny Depp was a marvelously talented person, but he was also a very like deeply anxious and troubled and awkward person who didn't really like any of the things that came with his fame and his talent. And I keep latching on to him saying, like, I worked so hard so my kids didn't have to live this existence, and you thrusted them right into it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Did you?
You
I
know,
know you said
sorry, Deanna, go ahead.
you can go, Wendy.
Okay. Okay. Well, his child. You know, they go in the first couple of days of the testimony. They really go into his kind of abusive mother, and then you know this all kind of takes place as she was actually dying of cancer, and so this whole thing kind of really gets into his childhood. His sister testifies what it was like to have Betty Sue or whatever his mother's name was, Betty something, as a mother. And how the father would always retreat because the mother was the abuser, and that's what Johnny Depp grew up in.
And so this you said just what I was going to say, because this plays into when you have a domineering. It doesn't matter which parent, but when you have a domineering parent and you witness that, you cower to it, and if you feed into cycles, that's going to cycle through in some of your relationships too, and if it shows up in your relationship, and for him it's going to be a female that does the same thing that his mom did, and it's just because it's a pattern, and so you don't always recognize it when you see it at the beginning. You don't recognize it till you're in it, until it starts showing all of its colors, and now you're in it, and so your pattern of behavior then starts to become the same. It becomes that same retreating, that childhood behavior, because that's all you knew on how to protect yourself. And the escapism, which he's struggled with, we all know he struggled with numbing himself. And here's another thing I saw today. He is a creative. He's an artist. They think differently. They work differently. They process differently. So when he talks about his texts and they start saying, well, you sent this text, and he's like, yeah, because it's the same thing as the Monty Python movie. If you watch the shtick about them burning the witches, that's what it was about. Or you know what I'm saying? And like, he's been in these movies, Sweeney Todd movies, or what I'm saying?
He quoted one of the texts, I think, Deanna, was where he quoted, it was to his friend, or I think it was to Keenan Wyatt, maybe. But it was a quote from The Hangover. Mm-hmm. And they used it like a Mike Tyson quote, like what Mike Tyson says the next morning when he wakes up and he's got the thing on his face or whatever, the tattoo, whatever it is. But, Johnny Depp was saying it was a quote from The Hangover. Everything is so taken out of like context. It's
right.
Fascinating.
But he's like, and then times when you speak, not in literal terms, when you talk about a bloodbath, hello, what do you call this carnage that's happening right now in the media? I'm sitting here calling it carnage. I'm not talking about literal body parts strewn across anything. It's a you know what I mean? It's a figure of speech. It's metaphoric because you've created this thing that is like, now it's splattering our blood across the world. We're on a world stage here that everybody is just privy to all of it. But I do feel like he felt like he was backed into a corner, and he had to pursue this the way he's doing it, because had he not pursued this the way he's doing it, the flip side of this would never have come out. And if the flip side doesn't come out, he doesn't get any credit for his character, and he's being blacklisted because of that.
Yeah, I think sometimes it depends on what they actually, because they've gone through a few lawsuits now. They went through where he sued in the UK, he sued the Sun or something. He sued one of the newspapers because they called him a wife beater on the cover, and I guess he lost that one because for whatever reason. But
I think,
but it's not a defamation lawsuit, right? So this is the defamation.
It was a defamation lawsuit, but he sued the actual magazine and tried to hold them liable, which is a different structure, because you're suing the entity for liability for defamation. Now he's suing the person who made the claims. So it's much more direct. he could have went on, as a matter of fact, one of the attorneys analyzing it today said typically you sue the magazine or whatever the media is, but in this case you usually sue the magazine and the person who wrote it. Usually that's the route people go, and he just bypassed the magazine, which also they said spoke to, is this vindictive, is it revenge? And some people are like, well, I don't think it's necessarily revenge. I think it's just about getting some restitution, in the sense that he wasn't able to be heard, but now he's see what I did there? He wasn't able to be heard. But y'all come on.
I thought it sounded familiar.
Okay, here's my funny story about Amber Heard. Let me tell you my funny story about Amber Heard. So for about a year, and this was before the mess, or right as the mess started to happen, right? So
what year are we talking about, ma'am? Is it 2016? Okay.
Yes. Okay, so right around in that time, my husband's talking to me about Amber Heard. And I'm like, I don't know who that is. Oh, that's the chick that married Johnny Depp, and there's some stuff going on, and she's doing this movie now, this, Aquaman movie with Jason Momoa. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. He wants to watch the movies. I watch all of the movies. I don't remember them all, but I watch the comic book movies fine. So, a few months later, he'll say something, oh, that was in the news. Oh, and, Amber Heard, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, who's Amber Heard? And he was like, are you serious? And I'm like, yeah. I know I'm supposed to know who that is, but I don't remember who it is. That's the woman who was with Johnny Depp. Oh, okay. For literally, I'm not even joking, an entire year. I would not assimilate this woman's name into my world. Okay. And I don't know
why was he doing that?
I don't know why. Oh, he was just asking me if I saw whatever was happening in the papers. And
okay.
I could not remember who Amber Heard was. It took an entire year for her name to stick in my head. I mean,
right, because you didn't care. Yeah.
Right. And it's not making enough.
I want to ask Natalie something.
Okay.
Natalie, how do you, and then if Dale wants to come up, I see if Dale, you can jump up on this stage.
Yeah. No? So I think somehow we made him a producer. Don't know how that happened, but I know he has some information and I want him to come up.
Oh, yeah. Dale, I don't know how we made him a producer either. I tapped on him and that might have magically made him a producer. But Natalie, let me ask you this question.
Sure.
So when was it, I mean, when you stopped loving Johnny Depp, right? Was that just because you thought he was a scumbag, wife beater, alcoholic, drug user? Or it's just because everybody else did? Or
I think part of it was when he was removed from the public eye. I'm going to tell you, I have people blindness. If you're not right in front of me at all times, then I do forget that you exist.
Good to know.
What a lovely world to live in.
Yeah.
We better stay right here.
One day I'll be diagnosed with ADHD and then maybe I'll get some treatment, but it's been a long road. But a similar thing happened with Aziz Ansari, where something came out about him. We immediately all jumped on it. And then I was like, oh, Aziz. And the thing is, and I had this conversation with my friend Jules, who's now on the platform, on the episode that we did together on my show, because they're in the public eye and because we love their work and because we were talking about musicians and music and because I have such a love for movies, music, TV, art, all of it. Mm-hmm. When they quote unquote flub up and it comes out that they've done a bad thing, there's almost like a betrayal part to it. Like, well, I trusted you to be okay. I feel had. Here I've been appreciating your work, supporting you with my money, all of it. And now you're this guy. And now we're all in this place where all of this is coming to light. And honestly, like every time I see a picture of her in the courtroom, she looks like Charlize Theron in Monster. That's the exact look on her face the entire time.
Sorry.
Let me see if I can.
I've also I've likened her to like Scott Peterson when he had to sit there and like try and pretend like he didn't do something
O.J.
violent.
Simpson.
Like,
So,
and she's just sitting there, and I'm like,
But
well,
her hair is perfectly coiffed.
oh yeah. I'm just really upset that I have to sit through another Aquaman movie with her in it. Like, and I think truly that's the one that I'm going to take personally. That I lost a bunch of years where I could have been watching Johnny Depp on film, but don't worry, we get one more Aquaman movie with her in it.
I know. I didn't even realize she was actually in anything, honestly. I only thought that she was married to Johnny Depp.
So, and then there's the other funny thing, because, like, so all the attorneys are like, and don't forget that they are actors. So he's charismatic, and he knows how to be charming. And I'm like, have you been watching the same thing I'm watching? Because there's been little moments, but most of the time it's pretty rough to listen to his testimony. Okay.
Yeah.
It's different. Maybe
it's
when
torture.
Right.
It's
different
torture,
when he has
actually.
a script and he has to memorize his words, and maybe that makes life a little easier for him. But when he has to formulate his own words, it's been a little rough. But, so I was saying this to my husband too, and he's like, yeah, I was saying, oh, and, but they're actors. And I don't know, people are really like siding with Johnny. And he says that's because she's not an actor, really. I was just like, oh, okay. So we're talking about the caliber of actor that's going on here. And it's just
but it's an interesting concept to think about that, right?
Convincing about, yes, it is an interesting
they are both actors. He's a very good character actor, right? He's there's a difference between Tom Cruise has done great characters, but not as many. Usually plays just Tom Cruise. But Johnny Depp plays Johnny Depp, but he also plays lots of great characters. But she's kind of I don't really put her on the same level as anyone. She's to me a B actress. I do. I put her on the same level as the Entourage guys. I'm sorry, I had
you
to
just
say
said that right here on Fireside Girl.
I know I did, and I intentionally said it like that.
I know.
Because to me, that's I come from the infomercial world for 20-something years. We know B celebrities. We know C celebrities. We know that they attract people. I mean, we know that they sell product, right? Because what else are they going to do? But their celebrity is not something that, look, if Kevin Donnelly walked into CVS, do you think the CVS guy is going to know who he is?
Probably not.
No, probably
Maybe Charlie
not.
Sheen, though.
I doubt that too. I seriously doubt that. Okay.
But I feel like if he gets a second chance, so does Johnny.
Charlie Sheen, my ex-husband, one of the abusers, the financial abuser, one of the reasons he financially abused was because he was snorting coke with Charlie Sheen at the strip club in Century City. That was like the first, where they did the lap dances and all of that stuff. And it was always well known that Charlie always would go there at lunchtime with a bunch of guys. And yeah, one of them was my ex-husband. Yeah. So does he need redemption? Who knows? Who cares really? But right. Johnny Depp, it's different. He's an icon. Charlie Sheen is not an icon. He's a television star, right? Mm-hmm. Johnny Depp is frickin' Jack Sparrow, right? He is these little kids loved him. He didn't get to leave his Jack Sparrow role properly, close it out for, what do the little kids who watch Pirates 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 think, right? What happened to Captain Jack? It's all of these things that he's fighting for, right?
Right.
And that's what he's fighting for.
And the severance is everything. So Disney had Johnny Depp characters walking around at Disney that you would take pictures with. And the Pirates ride had been, the Johnny Depp character was added into the Pirates ride. And now all of it's being removed. It's all coming out. It's all being removed. And the 6th installation, I don't even know what they're doing. And the same thing happened with Fantastic Beasts. And how do you find them? Uh, my niece is texting me in the background telling me that the CBS guys would definitely know Charlie Sheen. Let me see what she has to say. She's usually pretty clever. Would definitely know who Charlie Sheen is, LOL. And yeah, if he gets another chance, Johnny can too. Yeah, she's saying, people like Charlie Sheen and Shia LaBeouf, that they wind up in the CVS a lot. I don't know what happens, but the drugstore's
Well,
a place to be.
Shia LaBeouf, don't underestimate that young man. He was a
Oh,
good
I
friend of
don't.
my son's when they were kids, and Shia he's a pretty incredible. His last movie
I
he made was
I love
awesome.
Shia LaBeouf. Honey Boo,
Yeah.
is that the
I
one?
really wanted to see that one.
Oh, you haven't
It's out
seen it,
there.
Natalie?
No, it's on my list.
Mm-mm.
I feel like I have to be in the right mindset because I know that he's playing his abusive father in it.
Mhm.
So like to get that on top, like to get into that mode, I have to be in my Handmaid's Tale mode where it's like, okay,
Yeah.
this is going to be dark and this is going to be hard and we're
It's
going to
okay.
enjoy.
It's not as
Yeah.
it's
It's
not as
not.
rough as you
Oh,
think it is.
Mm-mm.
It's okay.
do
No,
you know what
it's
makes me the most mad about Amber Heard trying to pull this off?
Hmm.
I have been in countless relationships or scenarios where a man has told me that's not how you felt, or I wasn't trying to abuse you, or don't you dare accuse me of that, or whatever. It happened last week. I left my board game bar and I was putting my board games in my car, and I turned around and there was a guy who was also getting in his car at the parking lot. And the first thing he said to me was, "Don't worry, I wasn't trying to sneak up on you." And I'm like, yeah, okay.
What's
Get yourself
romantic?
home safe. And I feel like now Amber Heard has validated all of that language where it's like, see, women were always out to lie about assaulting us and all of it, or us assaulting them and all of it. And she's given them clout. And that's what makes me mad.
Well, and here's the other thing that I want to be super clear about. We haven't heard her testimony yet, so we're just kind of basing this off of what we heard already. But the thing that I want to be clear about is that people automatically jump to the conclusion that the male is always the one who is being violent and the woman is always some sort of victim, and that is not the case. And trust me, if I thought I needed to stand up for Amber Heard, not that my standing would make a difference to her, but if I felt like I needed to defend her in any way, I would. I've been there. Wendi would. She's been there. Nothing she's doing so far is characteristic of someone who has struggled through an abusive situation.
and
That's all I'm
everything that
saying.
he is doing and everything that he's saying is someone that was afraid of the person. I mean, I think he was really, truly afraid of her. And you become so fearful of what they're going to do to you that you stay and you hope and you wish things work out, kind of. But I wanted to, Dale, Bad Bunny
We need to
said
get
that you've
Dale.
got some clips of Johnny, and then we were going to do the clip show at 8:00. So do we want to go open that show? And Dale, will you
Yeah.
come up and share the clips that you have since mine got all messed up?
But I want to
Dale?
read my niece's last text to me because apparently she's not actually on Fireside. I got to get her on here. I mean, she's old enough to be on here. She said there was a body language expert who studied Johnny's body language on the stand, and he basically said that actors are the hardest to read because they're actors. And he said Johnny's body language read very sincere and kind of innocently anxious, and most importantly, honest. Which, I mean, that was paraphrased, but so don't take that to the bank. I just saw it scrolling through the socials. LOL. So she was just saying she picked that up off of social media, but that the body language expert
Yeah.
You know,
They had four
they,
body language guys, 4 men body language guys do Amber Heard from a couple of years ago that I found on YouTube. And they're funny because one's an FBI guy and one's another this guy and that guy. And they all know they call it mouth grooming. Did you guys know this? That there's an indication when someone is lying or they're preparing to say their statement that's been prepared. They do mouth grooming. And mouth grooming is when you take your tongue and you make sure, people do this. And then that's mouth grooming. And then when people do that subconsciously or unconsciously, whatever, then they're preparing themselves to like say what they were taught to say. And she constantly mouth grooms, they say. And I'm like, so I'm always looking at her like, are you mouth grooming now?
Well, I didn't know that, but now I'm going to notice it for sure.
Yes. Yeah,
All right,
they're pretty funny
Dale
guys.
to at least come up and speak for 1 second so that we can pop over into the next show.
Well, Dale was in Bad Bunny's show last night, and Bad Bunny and Dale does have clips of Johnny Depp. So my clips are nil for today because I couldn't transfer them over, the ones I worked on all day, Dale. So I'm counting on you, honey. We're going to jump over. We're going to end this show. Because we can't have the shows aren't back to back. The clips is under Wendy Cooper, and this one's under Deanna.
Yeah.
So, wait,
share.
Come on up.
There.
Brian wants to.
Go ahead.
Hey, Brian. Welcome, Brian.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
Yep, we can now.
Oh, cool. This is my first time speaking on Fireside. I literally just came in and was reading some transcripts to get an idea of what you guys were talking about.
Well, at least somebody reads the transcript. So anyway, go ahead.
I just watch all the stuff.
So, first off, great to meet you both. The way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, a lot of my life, I've been a doer more than a talker. And I think my parents could probably attest to that because I don't really take them through the whole process of what I'm doing, especially when it comes to social media and being on audio apps. So that's why with this freelancing spirit that I have outside of my day job, a lot of time they may hear my voice, but they don't really know that exactly what the conversations I'm having are. I've done a lot of things behind the scenes from them. I've recorded videos for Instagram and TikTok.
Can Brian, for who?
Yeah.
Can we ask, does this have to do with the Johnny Depp Amber Heard case? Because that's what we're talking about here.
No,
in this show.
I had no idea about that.
Yeah. Okay. So I hope we're not being rude, but we're just getting ready to end this show and jump over to open up another show where Dale, I'm telling you, you're going to do it. Dale's going to come up and he's got some clips and stuff. So this is a little bit different. This is a show. All right. So let's go do that. And this one, Deanna, and I'm going to leave this show and go start the other one.
Okay. And Brian, you can follow us over there so you can see what we're talking about. Just follow the people when we leave this room and follow everybody. And then Wendy's going to be opening up a new show and, get a gist of what we're talking about. And we'll invite you back up. Okay. We're going to end this. So thanks for coming, guys. Put Wape out up for 1 second and play ourselves out.